Hey YouTube, this is Kerri from Razor Sharp Crafts, and we are continuing on working on the Tando Creative to-do board. So I'm going to move this out of the way. I don't know why I bothered to put that out. My blog has not been updated in a while, and I recently was on there and realized all my pictures have been deleted. So I was like, oh, that's wonderful. I don't know what happened, but yeah. Okay, so this is the back piece, as you may remember, and we were working on putting some texture to it. This is going to go on like so. So I think it's looking pretty darn cool. And then these are going to go over top with these somewhere on them. So, yep. All right. So what I've decided is we're going to use Textures Gritty Graphite. And we're just going to go through all this. So we got the blue, and then the graphite in the middle, which is kind of like a black color. So it kind of stays with the theme. What I'm going to do so that I don't have to keep waiting for it to dry before I can do more is I'm going to do some in the middle here. And then I'm going to keep moving the stencil. So it's going to have the effect of the stencil, but it's not going to be like this whole shape like this one is, you know, if that makes sense. Oh gosh, for a minute I didn't think we were going to get into the gritty graphite. So yeah, it's just going to basically kind of be, I'm just trying to see if I can see my original lines. Alright, this one's actually going to kind of be this is almost going to be a whole stencil. Like if I could have avoided not doing the whole background if I wanted to, and figure out where my blue squares are going to lay exactly, and I could have outlined them, and then I could have only done where you're going to see where those blue squares aren't going to lie. But I have no problem with doing this, and I feel it gives it more of a completed look if the design, oh, I just lifted the stencil, that could mess up that corner. But that's okay. I could end up just making a square go over it. But I think it just looks finished if the design disappears underneath the covering. You know what I mean? Okay. I had to check the time. I haven't emptied my SD card from my camera. Just want to make sure we'd have enough time to do this whole video. I'm going to buy a bigger SD card. I just need to actually do it. But I'm going to buy the 32 gig. right. So here we go. Well, it's not too bad. Right there is where it lifted up. Not horrible. All right. There. Just trying to pick up the stuff that went over the side of the stencil. So I'm not, excuse me, so I don't have, you know, like just some odd little blob somewhere. Okay, where'd my paper towels go? Oh, right in front of my face. I normally have them on the floor. And they were on my desk, so it threw me off there. Whoops. And these stencils are very durable. I know you can't see me cleaning them, but I'm just like rubbing right over the top of it, and it's not ripping or anything. And, oh yeah, and this is the Distorted Beehive stencil from Tando Creative as well. So my plan to be able to strategically move this is kind of out the window. So this looks pretty good right here. Because after I get this background done, I don't think there's too much left to do other than putting it together. That's why I don't want to have to wait on the textures to dry. I'm sure you could probably dry them with the heat gun though, which we may just try. Make sure I haven't spun out of camera on you yet, out of the frame. My husband looked at this yesterday and he's like, "How did you do that?" Meaning the design. And I was like, "It's one of the stencils I got from Tando." He's like, "That looks really cool." So, and that's a huge compliment because you know, basically compliments from the guys usually means it's really cool. But I mean, my husband always takes time to look at my craft projects, see what I've been working on, creating. So I'm a lucky one like that. But he really liked the distorted beehive look. So there we have that. All right. I'm almost feeling like I need to do something different in those last couple void spaces. I just don't know what I would do if I do something different. Oh. So I'm going to set this aside to dry because I want to do a little thinking on this one. I may even pull this color down instead to come down into this. And then maybe pull the blue up that way. Because I just think, as I'm looking at it now to fill this whole thing in graphite, I think it's just going to be too dark. And I really like how this light blue, the patina, showed up. So I'm going to let this dry. Actually, I'm going to hit it with the heat gun. Let's see how the heat gun does. Yeah, we're going to set it aside. It's going to take forever with the heat gun to dry it all. So we'll just set that aside for now. Come back to it later. So, whoops. Knocking stuff around here. So we have this. We have the to do. And that's how I kind of want them, like, kind of want them, like, you know, staggered like that. Oh, excuse my head. Wow, this thing's got glitter on it. So, we need to paint those letters. or emboss them. Oh, I think that'll almost match that perfect. We're going to use this. It's just a Zing embossing powder. My only worry is I'm going to have too many different color blues, you know? Oh, that's my only worry, is just all the different blues are going to clash together. But if that happens, we'll figure it out. Alright, so that's what we do. As crafters, we just figure it out. Adapt and overcome. It's also what you do in the military. Alright, let's see how this works. What I just did is, while it was hot, I dipped it in the leftover powder again. And one more time. So that gave it a very nice blue finish. Oh, and it matches the squares pretty good too. So that's what I'm going to do. And that was 3 coats of this. It's Zing embossing powder. And it is, the color is just called Wave. Okay, you see how I have that pile still sitting there? I need to get a hold of it with my tweezers. So when it's hot, I just do this and just dip it, because the heat, or the embossing powder is still wet. It's the embossing powder being hot, it picks it right up, just as if you had your perfect medium on it. Okay. I'll be honest, I'm getting embossing powder everywhere. And it feels like I heated up my green mat a little too much. What the heck? My perfect medium seems weird. Alright, hold on. Flatten down my green mat. It's the only problem with putting this mat over my green one is that green one, it warps when it gets hot with like the heat gun. Found that one out. I figured it was durable. I could do whatever I wanted on it when I first got it, and I was trying to heat emboss, and all of a sudden the whole thing just warped right up. I was like, whoa, what just happened? But, I mean, it goes back. I like to push down on it to make sure it goes back to its normal shape. I'm just fighting with this here D. Just dipping it. I'm worried the D won't go as easy as the other ones because it's bigger. Oh, it picked it up alright though. One more good dip. All right. I am burning my fingers. No. Oh man. Tweezers slid and it of course hit the embossing powder and smeared it. I'm going to do this off camera so that I can hold it a different way and not have to worry about my mat, so just give me a second. I gotta be honest, this D is giving me more problems than the rest of them did. Alright, so the problem I was having with this one was the gesso was like melting underneath. And it was mixing with the embossing powder. And it's causing it to turn like a light blue. Like a white creamy, like a creamy blue with white in it. It's hard to explain, but if you look down here at this part of it, the tail part right here, you can kind of see how it's a little different than over here. Not a big deal. I mean, to me, I think it looks kind of cute. There's my head in the way as I'm looking at it again. But I would definitely recommend, if you're going to do this technique, to not gesso your letters. Tando's chipboard takes embossing powder very well. And to me, the gesso is just kind of being a hindrance right now because of it's melting and bubbling a little bit. So that is my recommendation. Don't get me wrong, this is a really, they're still looking very beautiful. Even with the gesso. And if you want that kind of milky look, then definitely use white gesso. Bob Ross. Again, I'm going to go off screen to do this because it makes it where I can hold it at a little better angle. And so my mat isn't getting melted and my fingers aren't burning. Dunking it. Tap off the excess. Tap really hard because I got some these tweezers are being mean to me. Okay. And dunking it a third time. So every one of them was embossed 3 times. Parts of the D went 4. That's when it really started to melt and mix, just so you know. And there's our last O. I don't remember if it was in this series where I was talking where I clean up a lot. Even while I'm working on a project because mess bothers me. And I thought I had a little bit of OCD. Well, I'm going to be honest. Like, my desk is driving me nuts right now because it's so messy. But, there's not a whole lot of point in cleaning it because nap time rolls around and I run right back up here to get my craft on again. There we go. See, I'd spilled a bunch of embossing powder, so it was all over the place. Stuff like that I have to clean. I have to. Drives me nuts. I guess that's why I don't use a ton of glitter. Glitter makes a lot of mess. Although I did get the, back at Thanksgiving time, I won the all 24 Tim Holtz distress glitters from Blitzy. And I was really excited. I'd wanted them for quite some time. And I've only used them like twice. I guess since I don't use glitter, I don't really know what to use it for now that I have it. So I just wiped this with a baby wipe just because there was some glitter on it. Probably from the days of the week letters because they have glitter in the embossing powder that was used on them. Alright. So we got that like that, which looks really cool. Uh-oh. Where did my homemade... Oh, they're there. Looking for my homemade enamel dots. Then we're going to take blue of these. And they're not perfect by any means. And I don't want them to be. But we're going to line the outside of it. I definitely want one on every corner. I might try to go through and pick the ones that look better out though. Because there was some, my husband didn't tell me my timer went off and they stayed in a lot longer. So, I'm curious, maybe I should use some of these ones too. Maybe do it like this. I do kind of like this. Oh. Oops. You're not blue. Well, that looks pretty cool. And I'm just eyeballing spacing. I'm not gonna measure them or anything. Just gonna eyeball them out, make them look nice. I think that was one that was overheated. I may have to make some more of the light blue ones because for some reason there's not a whole lot done in them. But I wasn't paying attention to, like, when I was doing them, like how many I was doing of each color. Yeah, so I wasn't paying attention to how many of each color. I was just putting a bunch on my tray and doing them. It's looking so cool. I get really excited as I'm putting a project together and it's really starting to like come together and look cool. I get excited. I'm like a little kid that way. There we go. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. Turned out pretty equally. So I'm thinking I'm going to use the quick dry, Scotch quick dry glue, just because I want a little bit of time to be able to move it if I need to. Hot glue would work too. But I'm not always the best at getting something right where I want it first try. Ugh, this glue doesn't want to come out. There we go. Sometimes you just gotta squeeze it really hard and just get that whatever's at the end just to pop out. Alright, so I guess we're going to start with the 4 corners. Hopefully this does hold them. I don't see why it wouldn't. I mean, they're just plastic beads, you know? And that right there is what I just really don't want. This glue dries clear, but you can still tell it's there, you know? Seems to be holding them. So I'm not going to make y'all just sit here and watch me glue down a ton of enamel dots. So I'm going to go ahead and shut my camera off. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end this video because we're at 40 plus minutes. So I'm going to glue these down, and same thing, I'll be using the quick dry adhesive. So I'm going to glue these down, glue all the dots down, and then we'll be back with hopefully about finishing up. I think we'll be finishing up here soon. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.